Move Over is the 20th episode of the third season of Everybody Loves Raymond. This is directed by Mackenzie, and as always there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. It's an okay episode, there's nothing wrong with it, but there wasn't really anything I found funny. There was maybe one small moment I found funny, but other than that, it was interesting, but not exactly funny. It starts off with Ray in bed with Debra, and Debra is sleeping a little too closely. And I think maybe one of the reasons I didn't love this, other than the fact that I didn't find it very funny, is that I don't agree with Debra at all. I think Debra's being really unreasonable here, because Ray can't sleep with her clinging on to him. She's asleep and maybe not aware of what she's doing. So he goes downstairs to sleep, and in the morning Debra asks, "Why were you sleeping downstairs?" And eventually he tells her, and he tells this story about his grandmother and kind of thinks maybe that's why he doesn't like sleeping when somebody's clinging to him. But I think Debra was being completely unreasonable, because I'm with Ray. I need my space when I'm sleeping. I cannot sleep when somebody's close to me. And I'm completely with Ray. So maybe that's another reason why I didn't fully buy into the narrative, because I thought Debra was being completely unreasonable. She softened a bit once she heard the story from Ray. But then Robert comes over. He's supposed to be going to show and tell with Ali because she needs to bring something beginning with P, and he's a police officer. And when Ray is across the road at Marie and Frank's getting coffee, Debra asks Robert about this grandmother story, and Robert says that none of that is true. And Debra realised Ray told him a lie, and she is angry at him again, which, fair enough. Being angry at somebody for lying to you, I understand. And the bit that I found funny is when Ray comes over from Marie and Frank's, and he comes over with a bag of jelly donuts, and Debra, in her anger, just smashes this bag of donuts up. And it was a really great performance and very, very well done. That, for me, was probably the only funny thing in this. Ray then decides to go and see Father Hubley, and I think that was a good thing for Ray to do, because it showed that actually he was listening to what Debra was saying, even though I think Debra is the one who should be seeking therapy for why she can't sleep without clinging to Ray. But he's forced to look at things from Debra's perspective, and the idea is raised that maybe she doesn't get enough intimacy during the day, just general hugs and kisses, and then she's seeking that out at night. Maybe there's a theory in that, but I think that's thinking too deeply into it. I think some people just like to sleep with closeness, and some people don't. I'm thinking of Ross's hug and roll technique, and how some people need to be clingy, and some people need their space. Maybe there is a deeper layer to it, and Ray latches onto this. He goes home, he tries to be affectionate with her, while Marie and Frank are there. Frank was supposed to be watching the kids and caused a lot of mess. And what I really liked about this moment, again, not necessarily funny, but I liked this moment, is where Ray explained he's trying to be more affectionate, and he said, "And I want to be more affectionate." I really like that he included that line, because if he just said, "I was told to be more affectionate," Debra would absolutely have flown off the handle and said something to the effect of, "Oh, you're only being affectionate because Father told you to." And because Ray added in there, "I want to," I thought that was a really good idea. And what I really liked about this is that Debra really appreciated that Ray had made the effort to go and find out what's happening and what he can do to try and make things better. But I still think Debra should be the one, or maybe both of them, but Debra as well, should try and find out why she needs to be so clingy. Why is she incapable of sleeping without clinging onto her husband? That seems more problematic to me than somebody wanting their space when they sleep. But I say that as somebody who needs space when they sleep. And we have bedtime again, and Debra still needs to be clingy, so it didn't solve any problems. I know it's only been one day, but the point there is that Ray was the one who made the effort, but Debra is still insisting things are done her way. And she does come up with a compromise, hug her until she falls asleep, and then Ray can sleep on his own. Well, with more space. And that doesn't work. They tried the compromise, Debra still got her way, because it cuts to Debra with her leg over Ray's body, her hand basically clawing his face, and Ray ends up going to get one of the kids' inflatable toys, puts it in the bed. She can cling to that. And I think that's a very sensible workaround. If she does need to hold on to somebody while she's sleeping, get a body pillow. I assume they were around in the 90s, I could be wrong, but get a pillow of any type and cling on to that, and it's the best of both worlds. Yes, Ray absolutely could do more to be affectionate during the day, but that doesn't mean Debra's going to just suddenly change her sleeping. It's very difficult to change the way you sleep. I say this as somebody who used to sleep on their front and had horrendous back pain because of that posture. And I had to train myself to sleep on my side. And it was not easy, but I got there, and now I couldn't even imagine sleeping on my front. So Ray being affectionate, in my opinion, is not going to stop Debra clinging to him. I think Debra is the one who needs help. But I do think getting her something, maybe not one of the kids' inflatable toys, although I guess why not, but a pillow or something means that she can have that comfort and Ray can have his space and everybody's happy. We then end with Robert at show and tell, and it's a fun scene with the children basically asking him questions as if he were a giant, which I guess to them, he really is. So that was a fun way to end things. As I said, not the funniest episode. The only funny moment, well, I guess the final scene was quite funny, but the only other funny moment for me was when Debra smashed up the bag of donuts. The rest of it, yes, thought-provoking, but because I largely don't agree with the events of the narrative, meant that I didn't really get behind the narrative emotionally. Not a bad episode. I probably wouldn't skip it if I was binge-watching this season. I don't dislike it. But compared to a lot of other episodes, both in terms of not being very funny, for me at least, and not presenting the narrative in a way that I agree with, it definitely isn't as good as most of the other episodes.